In the last video, we looked at the what related to web services. We defined what is a web service. We looked at the fact that the three keys to a web service are it needs to support an application to application interaction, it should be platform independent, and it should allow communication over a network. In this video, we'll shift our attention to how. We'll answer some of the important how questions related to web services. Let's start with the first one. How does data exchange between applications take place? I have an application which is consuming a web service. How does the data exchange take place? We have an application A which is consuming a web service. Let's say the web service is related to a to-do application and it offers a list of to-dos back. The application A needs to send some input to the web service. It needs to say, I want to-dos related to Ranga. So it needs to send an input called Ranga to the web service. And the web service needs to send an output back. Ranga has this list of to-dos. He wants to create a course on this topic. He wants to learn this topic more. Those list of to-dos have to be sent back to application A by the web service. So there is an input and there is an output. The input to a web service is called a request, and the output from a web service is called a response. So if application A needs some data from the web service or needs to perform some action on the web service, it creates a request. Application A will create a request saying, okay, I want details of to-dos of Ranga. Web service would look at the request, process it, and it would create a response with the list of to-dos that Ranga has, and it returns them back to application A. Request and response are the basic concepts behind web services. The important thing is web services should be platform independent. Our web service, we should be able to call it from a Java application or .NET application and a PHP application as well. How do we achieve that? Think about it. If the request format, let's say it's a Java specific format or a .NET specific format, will other applications in other platforms be able to send a request in that format? Nope. The important thing for the web service to be platform independent is that the request and the response also should be platform independent. They should be in formats which are supported by all different kinds of platforms. There are two popular formats for request and response. The first one is XML. XML stands for Extensible Markup Language. You can generate XML from a Java platform or a .NET platform or any other platform of your choice. You have a node, a closing node, another closing node, which is specifying the detail of the codes that we would want. I would want to get the details of course 1. I'm creating an XML request. So XML is one of the popular formats for request and response in web services. The other data exchange format is JSON. JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation. It's the language JavaScript which is used typically on the front end. Now we are also using JavaScript in the back end like Node.js and things like that. But JavaScript for a long while was a language of the front end. And JSON is how JavaScript represents its objects. The great thing now is JSON is supported by a wide variety of platforms, not just front-end systems, but also back-end systems, Java, .NET, and all other platforms. So to make the web service platform independent, what we do is make the request and the response platform independent. The next question is, how does application A know the format of request and response? Application A needs to send a request to the web service, and once it gets the response, it needs to be able to process it and do whatever it wants to do with it. How does it know what requests to send, where to send it, and what is the format of the response? The solution to that is service definition. Every web service offers a service definition. The service definition would specify a request and response format. Okay, what is the format which is used for request and response? Is it JSON? Is it XML? Or is it any other format? That's specified by your service definition. It specifies the structure of the request. How can a consumer create a request? What is the format of the request? Also defined is the response structure. What is the structure of the response which is returned by the service? The last thing which is part of service definition is how to call the service. What is the endpoint? Where is the service available? So the application A wants to make use of the web service. In this video, we looked at the important hows related to a web service. How does data exchange take place? Through request and response. How do we make web services platform independent? By creating platform independent requests and responses. By using data exchange formats like XML and JSON. How does an application know the format of a request and response? We do that by providing something called a service definition. In the next video, we'll look at some of the key terminology related to web services.